जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम everyone. Okay, let's wait for like 2 minutes for everyone to join, and then you can start taking your questions. Majorly today's session or discussion is all around Q&As, any issues that you guys are having with the fellowship, any suggestions from your side on how we can improve the fellowship, um, any doubts that have been a major blocker for your progress, for example, or any other thing which has been a major blocker for you not being able to perform very well in the fellowship or generally in your life and with your goals. Um, and again, generally to understand your progress, we always recommend that you should go. By the way, do we have any international speakers over here? Else, I will like to speak in Urdu, but if can we keep the conversation more Urdu? Or do any of you have any problem with English? Okay, so ना तीन में ना तेरह में तो English please. Okay. All right. All right, so let's continue. So again, generally at the weekends, our idea about you trying to understand if you're performing well or you're making good progress or not is more about you doing your quarterly reviews or obviously quarterly reviews and monthly reviews and weekly reviews and seeing where do you stand, right? If you're doing 70% completion of your goals, whichever you defined for yourself before the start of that month or start of that quarter, I think you're reasonably good. But if you are falling below 50%, for example, then there has to be a pure analysis of what has been the core blocker for you to not be able to achieve that goal, for example, right? So if again, that is the major theme of today's session, that Q&A, we can keep it around those topics that what have been a major blocker for you. But obviously we can have some other questions, any Q&A questions that could be good, that you maybe need answers to, something that is being a confusion or anything along those lines. But generally, I would recommend everyone that अच्छा एक सेकेंड आई थिंक तानिया आपका आई थिंक योर माइक इज ऑन. Okay. So what you guys should be doing is that you should be reviewing your past 2 months. I think it's almost 2 months, exactly 2 months, maybe today, or close to 2 months today with the weekend. So you should be reviewing those. That said, I think 2 minutes are over. So we'll start with the questions right away. Um, any questions that you guys have, any doubts, any suggestions, any confusions, anything? Who wants to go first? Anyone can raise hand and okay, Arfa, Tarek, can we unmute Arfa?
हेलो।
जी बच्चा।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो थैंक यू सो मच इतनी अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी के लिए। और हाँ, मेरी बहुत अच्छी पेस बन रही है इसमें इंजीनियरिंग ट्रैक में। सर मेरा ये प्रॉब्लम है कि मुझे ना जो लाइव सेशंस है उनकी समझ नहीं आती। आई डोंट
हाँ
नो वो शायद थोड़े हायर लेवल के होते हैं। मुझे मैं ना लेकिन जो मैं खुद सेल्फ स्टडी करती हूँ, जो मुझे टास्क मिलते हैं, मैं वो अच्छे से अंडरस्टैंड करके कंप्लीट कर पाती हूँ।
ठीक है। और आप
हेलो।
सॉरी। अच्छा, इसमें पहली चीज क्वेश्चन ये कि कौन से आप लाइव सेशंस की बात कर रहे हो, डीएसए वाले या जो इंजीनियरिंग सेशंस हो रहे होते हैं, और कैन यू गिव मी सम स्पेसिफिक एग्जांपल एज वेल?
सर जो इंजीनियरिंग सेशंस हो रहे होते हैं ना, मे बी वो थोड़ा सा मतलब थोड़े जिनका प्री रिक्विजिट्स और बेसिक्स क्लियर होती हैं उनके लिए हो। मैं तो अभी शुरू से स्टार्ट से सीखा है ना, तो इसलिए मैं स्टेप बाय स्टेप चल रही हूँ, तो शायद इसीलिए मुझे समझ ना आती हो।
सर जनरली वैसे जो इंजीनियरिंग सेशंस है ना, वी ट्राई कि वो थोड़े से हाई लेवल हों। उसकी रीज़न ये है कि प्योरली जो टेक ओरिएंटेड सेशंस होते हैं वो मोस्ट ऑफ यू कैन हैव दो सेशंस फ्रॉम यूट्यूब. And yes, these sessions do have prerequisites, but maybe someone can send in the chart if you guys are getting those prerequisites or not. But generally, these sessions require you to do some reading because I think there are only two of them um, uh, throughout the week. So there has to be some prerequisite reading. So one, tell me if your guys are getting some prerequisite reading or not, and two, if you guys are going through that and if that is helpful or not. And three, generally, yes, the sessions would not be very basic, but I think what's more important is कि even if you guys don't understand it, you can check the recording session.
सर वन थिंग, मैं एक और चीज चाहती हूँ। जो जब स्टडी करते वक्त ना बहुत सी ऐसे सवाल आते हैं जिनका मुझे जीपीटी तो कोई एक अच्छा टूल नहीं लगता। वो तो हम पहले हमारी हाँ में हाँ मिला देता है, फिर एंड पे कह देता है ये आपकी सारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग गलत है, और हमारे 2 घंटे वेस्ट हो जाते हैं। तो जहाँ पर मेंटोर्स भी सारे एक जगह अवेलेबल हों और एक्टिव हों और स्टूडेंट्स भी, तो वहाँ हम सवाल पूछ सकें।
ठीक है, गुड सजेशन है। अच्छा, इस पे मैं जीपीटी वाले पे आपको आंसर कर देता हूँ, बट जनरली अभी आप लोगों को प्री रिक्विजिट रीडिंग मिल रही है उन सेशंस की कि नहीं मिल रही है, एंड इज दैट हेल्पफुल और नॉट?
सर मेंटोरशिप की बात कर रहे हैं, जो हमें टास्क मिलते हैं?
नहीं, जो आपके सेशंस हैं उनकी प्री रिक्विजिट रीडिंग।
सर नहीं, मैं तो सेशन अटेंड करती हूँ।
अच्छा, एनीवन एल्स? I mean, this is a feedback as well, so I can get a feedback if you guys are getting those prerequisite for each session or not. So if anyone can comment on that. Okay, चलें, I will. Okay, we get weekly ratings. Hmm. Okay. So पहली बात तो, one thing you guys should be going through those weekly readings. They are very important. The reason for that is because these sessions have been planned very carefully, because there are a lot of things we can give you not prerequisite for the sessions. Okay. If we do not have prerequisite for the sessions, then it's a problem. So I will look into that. That is on our end. Number two is, even if you do not understand those sessions, I think generally you can go through the recording, stop the session in the middle, and try to read around something, because those sessions are planned to be purely engineering sessions, not very tech-oriented sessions, right? Um, right.
सर एक और
So
चीज मैं
that. Mhm.
सॉरी
जी जी।
सर गोल्ड स्लॉट नहीं चल रहा जब से मैंने वो उसके ऊपर लॉगिन भी नहीं हो रहा मेरा ये एक इश्यू था जब
Okay. You can send an email at info@devweekends.com.
अच्छा मैं ये क्वेश्चन कर लेता हूँ दैट
जी। हाँ, दूसरा ये था कि पाथफाइंड, you guys have a community in Pathfind. We can definitely make that active, as well as maybe we can make some group, but that is slightly risky. Again, all of you can come together if you want to build a truly active community on Discord. Discord is a very good place for all of us to come together and start discussing something. Okay, so that is one thing that we can consider. One question that is important to be addressed, that is, when you are discussing something with ChatGPT, for example, so it's not giving us the right answers. और उसके लिए I think all of you should once go and watch that session for I forgot, Think Like an Engineer session on YouTube Dev Weekends. And over there, I have explained that how do you have to study something, right? If you do not understand a topic and you want to use, for example, something like ChatGPT to understand that topic, you have to go through, like, you have to kind of approach that topic from 5 or 6 different angles. So you will get a lot more details on how to understand a topic truly, to try to understand pros and cons, aside, big word alerts, all of those things, because they're very important. So go through that session. That will definitely help. Gee, who's next? Mute everyone, and can someone raise hand and we will unmute you.
okay, so my question was initially that
Yes, man. Swan, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Anyone else? Meanwhile, I'll go through the chat, and those who want to ask questions, they can raise hand. Okay. So we have weekly reading articles. Okay. Uh, it's been days since I did not get any task. Alan Alexander, if you can write an email at info@theweekends, I will review it. Um, uh, but generally, you should be able to, if you are in the group with your clan mentor, you should simply be able to ask your mentor about your next task. Usually, the tasks are assigned in the weekly meetings. Okay. There's no specific, there won't be any specific notification. You would have to ask about the weekly meeting generally, or they can tell you. Uh, but that weekly meeting is the most important thing that you should be doing. Okay, cool. Next, who is next? GSAF.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो लेट कमर्स जिन्होंने ज्वाइन किया है लाइक लास्ट वीक उनका क्या ड्यूरेशन चलेगा उनका लास्ट कितना एंड होगा जाके
Yeah, generally it could be 3 months, could be 4 months as well, because what happens is that sessions might not continue for you guys for that long, but you will keep getting the tasks from your mentor. And the things that you have missed, you will have recordings for that. Okay. But sometimes it can go to 4 or 5 months as well. But usually you're always connected to your mentor, right? So it's not that everything will end in 3 to 4 months, because obviously you will keep having more challenges, and you will keep wanting to learn more stuff, which is important for the market. So yeah, there it is. But yes, about the sessions will stop. Like the next month is the last month, so sessions would stop once we have delivered all the sessions that were in the roadmap. But generally, those one-on-ones, the tasks with your mentor, they will continue. Okay. But you will have recordings, so you can watch them. Ji, who's next? Rayas.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Walaikum assalam.
जी सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन इंटरव्यू रिलेटेड था। मतलब मेरा दरअसल एक्सपीरियंस है 4 साल का रिएक्ट जेएस में, और
Okay.
इस वक्त मैं एक रिमोट जॉब कर रहा हूँ। तो एक्चुअली लास्ट 10 डेज मैंने 3 से 4 इंटरव्यूज दिए। कुछ रिमोट जॉब थे, कुछ ऑन साइट थे। तो मेरे मेंटर है मोहम्मद शेरोज, तो उन्होंने मुझे लास्ट जो 2-3 टास्क दिए थे, उनमें से एक तो था होटल मैनेजमेंट के रिलेटेड माइंड स्टैक पे, उसके बाद एलएमएस पे दिया। तो नेक्स्ट जेएस में मेरा कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था, तो उन्होंने कहा आप एलएमएस पे फ्रंट एंड भी बनाए, बैक एंड भी बनाए। तो उससे लर्निंग तो हुई, लेकिन जाहिर सी बात है स्टार्टिंग स्टेज पे हुई नेक्स्ट जेएस की लर्निंग। अब मुझे जो कॉन्स्टेंट फील हो रहा है उसमें इंटरव्यूज में, वहाँ कंपनीज मतलब डिमांड कर रही है कि आपका 2 से 3 साल का नेक्स्ट जेएस का भी एक्सपीरियंस हो। तो जब इंटरव्यू होता है तो मैं फर्स्ट राउंड में मतलब जावास्क्रिप्ट के बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट के सही जवाब दे देता हूँ, रिएक्ट के भी। लेकिन जब नेक्स्ट जेएस की आती है तो वहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि कंपनीज यानी सेकेंड राउंड का कहती हैं, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं आएगी कॉल, और आती भी नहीं है। तो इसका मुझे ये पूछना था आपसे, मैं मतलब किस तरह से आगे इसको अप्रोच करूँ नेक्स्ट इंटरव्यूज में, क्योंकि जाहिर सी बात है अभी मेरा नेक्स्ट जेएस का इतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है जितना रिएक्ट का। जाहिर सी बात है एक प्रोफिशिएंटली मैं आंसर दे सकता हूँ, कॉन्सेप्ट भी समझे हुए हैं, क्योंकि 4 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है। लेकिन नेक्स्ट जेएस में ये तो है कि मैं कवर कर जाऊंगा, लेकिन जाहिर सी बात है स्विच करना है एक अच्छी जगह, तो कंपनीज भी अपनी जगह
Okay.
राइट हैं। मैं किस तरह
Hmm.
अप्रोच करूँ ये समझ।
Okay, so the question for everyone is, I will rephrase the question. The question is that sometimes we are interviewing for some place, and generally our mentors are giving us tasks for building projects. But sometimes we are interviewing at some place and we lack some sort of tech stack. And then how to tackle that situation. Okay, number one thing is when it comes to projects, why do we focus on projects? Because projects are the most important things on your resume and for your learning, because that will help you becoming a good end-to-end engineer, right? So that is there. But that is for Monday to Friday, majorly. Like we ask you to focus again. Those who do not know about the typical schedule, they can go to goal slot and they can import a schedule from there. In the library, you will import the schedule. It will automatically create some tasks for you, so you understand what a good schedule is. And generally, if you want to learn some new tech stack, because there will always be some stack that you would not know. For example, today it's Next.js. Tomorrow it would be AWS, right? So it could be all of those things, right? So the idea is that tech stack ka grind jo sa hai, so the grind for tech stack should be over the weekends. That's number one. For example, if you are building a project from Monday to Friday, right, and along with your DSA stuff and everything, but you're generally completing the tasks that your mentors gave you around the project, you did well on that from Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday, you have 2 hour slots. We'll come back to it. And then you have some time for tech specific time. We call it tech grind, right? In the weekends term, in which you may have some sessions that you missed and you need to complete them. But at the same time, you might be spending like 6 hours on one specific technical stack. And generally, I feel that if you're spending 6 to 8 hours on one weekend, so which is total around 12 to 16 hours over a weekend on one stack, it should be more than enough for you if you're making the right notes and you're studying it in a proper way. You will have enough knowledge that you can clear interviews. right? And how to clear interviews, you can still go to Think Like an Engineer series and try to understand how to approach any tech stack. But generally, if you're thinking, oh, I need to spend 1 week on a tech stack, I think that's not a good strategy. Okay. You should not be going in that route. So that's one. A second thing is if you are getting a very good interview, you can pause for few days. Okay, I am getting a very good interview and I need to perform really good at this interview. In that case, you can discuss with your mentor, hey, I got a very good opportunity and they require 6 different things that I do not know. I need to prepare for my interview. I need to prepare for so XYZ tech stack. You can take a pause, you can discuss with your mentors, you can fully focus on your interviews. But that said, that does not mean कि भाई you can just go ahead and spend 7 days on one technology. That's generally not recommended. Generally, also if you are, I mean, again, this advice is for those people who already know something. Like if you already have built some projects and you have some experience in software engineering, and then you're saying, oh, I just need to learn a new library or new framework, and I need a one week for that. That's generally not recommended. That doesn't mean that if you would spend a weekend on some technology, you will master it. That's not the case. But if you would do it well, you would have saved a lot more time, and you will be able to cover more areas for the interviews. Because interview is not going to be about that one specific technology, and there never are, right? Generally, if I'm interviewing someone, I need to see a lot more areas and a lot more checkboxes that I have to any candidate has to tick in order for them to prove that okay, they can be a good addition to that team, right? And a lot of that comes from okay, what sort of projects have you built? What's your background in something? If I'm looking for some specific technology, how comfortable you are with it. I would not maybe generally I would not expect you to be an expert in some XYZ technology, right? So you have to cover all those areas as well. So if you keep spending like 1 week on a tech stack or a library or framework, again, given you already have some good software engineering background, it's generally going to waste a lot of your time. Okay. Hope that answers the question. I have a question. I don't know if others have this issue, but I learned through AI and various other sources for a particular topic, but sometimes the concept do not stick. So if possible, please help. I think this is a classic example of not making good notes and not trying to structure things, right? Because AI would generally is not very good at letting you structure some stuff. And then usually most of us are using unpaid tools. I'm not exactly sure about you. Again, there are certain examples, like certain good options that you can use once a day, for example. So let's say you can use JLM 5.2 models like that. You can use DeepSeek. You can use when they will give you generally very little daily limits, which you can utilize to read better. But still, AI would try to, AI is greedy about tokens, right? So it will try to save those tokens, right? And it will try to go into the direction that you want it to follow, for example, right? And generally, like if you're saying this is true, so AI would try to make that true, unless you're trying to ask what are the pros and cons. You're trying to add a structure to it, and you're trying to kind of make your own notes or something. So that's more important. So I would say again, if you go and watch the session of Think Like an Engineer, you will hopefully be able to understand how to make those concepts stick, because the core of anything should be that you need to understand why you are learning it, okay, or why some specific thing is happening in certain way, right? And then what is the pro and con of it, and why. And usually you go up till like you can go five whys deep into some topic, and that will definitely generally help you. So that again, the problem with people who do not know how to read and how to make notes, these two things, is a very pretty serious problem. And this is a skill that you guys can learn, that how to study, right, and how to make notes. These are two good skills that any engineer should have. Right? If you do not have those two skills, nothing would stick, nothing would make sense, and you would generally not be able to make those connections. But if you're doing, if you're learning in that direction, it would just maybe you'll have to spend 5 to 10 minutes extra per 1 hour of reading, but it would be very helpful for you for your long-term growth, inshallah. Okay. How to learn these two skills? One, I think both of them are, I think, covered in that session of Think Like an Engineer. Okay. So that should be a very good. If we start noticing on making notes, we'll lose focus in learning. वो फिर वो वाले नहीं ना बनाने हैं जो मैट्रिक में बनाते थे हम, खूबसूरत से वो हाइलाइटर लगा रहे हैं, स्टिकर्स लगा रहे हैं, इस तरह के नहीं बनाने. मेक नोट्स दैट कैन मेक यू रिमेंबर समथिंग and make you understand and unstructure something, right? And generally with good prompts, you can ask AI, hey, use a simpler language, um, convert it into a better structure, use analogies. Do not talk in abstract terms. Sometimes AI would be talking in abstract sense. Sometimes AI would be using some big words that you don't know what it means. For example, you need to ask AI the pros and cons. You need to ask AI for further reading. So for all of these things I've covered in that Think Like an Engineer series session. That you generally can ask AI to give you some articles instead of AI giving you answers, because generally human written answers or human written articles are much better than any AI. But generally, do not try to read any article. Try to read article from some valid, some strong, good sources. Um, some something which has some value, or some authentic sources, for example, or authentic engineers. Okay. अच्छा जी, I'll come back to the voice. जी सैरिश बच्चा.
Assalamualaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
My question is that for in my first month I was doing pretty well with dev weekends. Like it's my second time doing this fellowship, but the first time it also something happened. I drifted off, and this time as well that I did my first two projects. One was on TypeScript, and another one was a 16 hours video. I just completed that, and then my internship started, and then I just prioritized that. And further on, I started learning DevOps instead. And I feel like the recently that in month that the projects I completed, these are something that I'm feeling proud of actually. I think I've made a lot of progress, but I didn't do any DSA questions that I was supposed to, like every day one question that like I did last year. I keep on forgetting the questions I had solved before. Even if I had taken notes, I still have those notes written in my copies, but I still need to focus the same amount of thing I had to like for the first time. So is there anything I can do about that?
अच्छा, one thing is priorities can change. If you get an internship and it is giving you real world experience and you are not able to focus too much on DSA, for example, that is normal. Because again, the idea about having or setting up goals is not that, okay, I made a goal in January and I need to stick to it until December, right? Goals can change in the middle of your journey because anything can come up. And for that, we always recommend Eisenhower matrix. Those of you who don't know, you can go and search about it. But Eisenhower matrix tell you, okay, what are the urgent and important things, what are important but not urgent things, and stuff like that. So that is the answer to your first question, that never feel bad about actual productivity. But if you are not productive, if you went to that internship and you did not learn anything and you also left the task at the weekend, then that is a problem. But if you learned something there, you built some projects, you got some real world
Yeah, I
experience, then
currently
it's
have
okay.
a multi-vendor project that I don't even feel like I should start that. I already think that I can make it by myself, but then it's a
Mhm.
7 hours video, but just starting out feel like I don't want to. It isn't motivating me
Uh,
when I see the
y-
timeline on
y-
that.
yes, because we need instant gratification around
Yeah.
stuff. Again, one thing that I learned very late in life is that greatness is not something that you can build in months. Generally, and here the kids are even scared of 7 hours video, right? Or 21 hours project.
I did finish a
Um,
16 hours video.
you did, of course, you did.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm saying people are scared of this because we need instant gratification, we need results fast, right? And maybe behind that thought is that, oh, okay, even if we do it, will it actually help, right? And maybe that can
Mhm.
also be something that is going behind your mind. Oh, I mean, okay, I am going to spend 21 hours, but is it going to help or not? Right? And these are
Yeah.
sort of doubts and confusions. So one is that sometimes there are doubts and confusion, okay, if it's going to help or not. Two, it's more about, oh, it's too much work, right? I should be doing something else which will give me some instant results, for example, look good on the resume or something I can show, for example. But one thing
Mhm.
I've learned in life is that every one of you, you should never be going towards instant results because that might give you some knowledge, right? But it would not be substantial. And greatness is something which builds over the years. What if, sorry, one sec. Okay, so what if I ask you guys to go and start reading a book today on any topic that you like? I ask every one of you, okay, what's your favorite topic in engineering? Operating system, databases, infra, cloud, system
Yeah,
engineering,
system
whatsoever,
design
whatever.
or
Yeah.
system design or architecture. I'm recently reading things about that. Like when I started learning DevOps recently, I
Mhm.
started learning the Azure architecture design, and then I started diving deeper into it on my own research. I'm avoiding AI as much as possible I can, only for things that can be replaced easily. Or-
Yeah. So the thing here is that if you are one, if again, वही बात है कि if you skip something and you replaced it with something which you think is actually helpful and serves your goals, okay, good to go. But if you're, you know, deviating from your path just because it would take so much time and it would not give you results, then that is a problem. And that is something which all of you can, identify yourself, because I don't know what's happening in your personal lives. But generally people want instant stuff, right? And that is
Yeah.
something we should avoid. About the
I have
projects now.
I have a
Yes.
last question. I'm so sorry, this might be a bit out of the topic here, but currently I'm doing an internship and they told me to do a project. At first, I had a teammate and then she left because she thought it was too hard. But so I handled all the project by myself, and it's my third week and I'm almost finished with it, and they're giving me another project that I should start working on that. I feel like this was supposed to teach me. Yes, they did teach me professional practices and everything, but I feel like I'm working a full-time employee work, and this isn't
Good for
something
you.
that I'm doing an unpaid internship and I'm not being paid for it. So, do you think I'm
Doesn't
in the
matter.
right place?
Yes, you are. Because the point is, the most important thing that anyone can have is knowledge, right? That
Yeah.
knowledge will, if you're getting that good knowledge and you're getting production experience and you know that it's going to help you, then that knowledge is going to be a catalyst of a good paying job, for example, or maybe they will offer you a good paying job. So, again, we question a lot of things. Oh, this project is too long. Oh, I'm doing something else. Oh, I'm getting unpaid. I'm not being paid, but I'm doing something which is of high value. Again, focus on what you are getting from that situation and focus more on that. Do not try to, and this is something that we do. We're working on one project. Oh, will it help me or not? And we will move to something else. If we're doing good work, again, some thoughts, some evil whisper will come to our mind, and we will won't do a good job at it because of that evil whisper, right? So do not try to stop things midway. Try to do things
Yeah, no, no,
to
I'm
their
not trying to
entirety.
stop. I just don't feel like it's with the
You should
value I'm
feel like it.
providing. Yeah,
You
like
should
I
feel
have
like
been
it.
working for 2 years almost as a freelancer. I have been like we value our time a lot. We
Mhm.
charge people on based on our time. So when I'm doing this internship, I feel like I'm not being paid for that. So it's kind
Question
of
is
feel
that if you're
unfair.
learning something over there that you haven't learned before,
Yeah, at first week I learned something, and then later on it's just like they're giving me a task and I'm finishing it, and then today I submitted all the documentation, everything in details, and now they're saying that you should be doing another project with us, and it's not a thing that
will
they're
that
saying
pro
that
is that project good for your growth or not?
I don't think so. It's even simpler than before.
Okay, then you can tell them, okay, offer me some salary, negotiate, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I
again,
should.
it's about what value you're getting from some project. So the context is that you're gonna do a project, but it's not going to give you any um knowledge, or it's not going to give you any experience that's gonna help you further down the road. Then okay, just talk to them, negotiate with them. I'm providing value. I'm trying to complete projects. Compensate me for that. As simple as that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome. G, next, who, Dadu? I think Dadu Khan, you were that. You were the guy. डीएसए कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं बन पा रही, लेकिन बहुत जल्दी बोर हो जाती हूँ। दिन फिर मैं नोट्स बनाने के बाद कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं बनती। अच्छा, डीएसए का फॉर डीएसए आई थिंक वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इट अर्लियर एज वेल. I don't know, maybe I'll ask someone from the team to share that Notion template along with the video. So DSA is about one, if you're again completing any problem, you need to understand what did you actually learn from that problem. Sometimes people try to memorize a problem itself, like a lead code problem itself, but not understanding what was the underlying issue in that problem, what was the underlying concept in that problem, right? And then approach DSA initially from a mindset of DSA patterns, right? DSA is a lot more about understanding a problem and try to map it to some DSA pattern. If you're able to do it, like understand the problem and understand the pattern, and you know the code for the pattern, again, there are certain things you have to memorize as well. Some templates you have to memorize so you can do much faster, like solve a problem much faster in an interview. But generally, if you are doing something, you will always be making some mistakes in DSA. There could be 5 different type of mistakes. Okay, one could be that you were not able to understand the problem itself. What was the underlying thing in that? You need to make notes of that. Number two is you need to understand the actual pattern for DSO, right? Each pattern is like each type of problem will have some sort of pattern that we can use for it, right? So for example, if there's a sorted array and you're trying to find some number, what would you do, right? Um, and those patterns then have some patterns, like some coding patterns that you can memorize. A lot of times you'll be making some mistakes which are coding mistakes, for example, right? And then, that might be the reason why you spent more time on that problem. Now, if any of you has seen that template for Notion, you will see that when we are solving a problem, we're always we are marking the name of the problem. If it is low priority, low difficulty or high difficulty, we're marking that, and then we're adding some notes inside it, which are very simple and clear and concise notes, not specific to the problem, but general issue that we faced in that problem. And then we're also marking the total time taken for us, right? Why do we do it? Because the problems that you were able to solve much faster, generally you might not be able to revise them, very often. But if there was some problem that you spend more than 1 hour or more than 45 minutes to solve, or even grasp the concept, right? You generally should be able to, you generally should be revising that more often, for example, and until you are able to solve that problem in less than 15 minutes or 20 minutes, for example, right? So that's the whole point of that template. Again, I will ask someone from the team to share that video and template with you so you guys can understand better. Um, and one more thing, or one more mistake. Again, it's not a general mistake. If someone is really into competitive programming, I would not give this advice. But generally, for you guys, if you guys are spending, if you guys, let's say if you guys spend 10 to 15 minutes on a problem and you're getting no clue what this problem is, and then there are some people who would keep spending more and more time. Even 10 minutes are more than enough. And some people would keep spending more and more time, so maybe they might get a clue of that problem. I think generally that's a waste of time. And definitely for the kids who are beginners in DSA. And the reason is that it will just make you more hopeless about the problem, because you would be spending, if you would have spent 10 good minutes on a problem and you were not able to find a solution, or even did not get a clue, you should stop right there and try to find or see the solution. Yeah, let's wait for 5 minutes for Azan and we'll continue. Okay, sorry, let's continue. What else I was saying? So the problems, and let's go to solutions. And when you're going to solutions, do not try to find the solution only. Sometimes try to learn that how people are trying to visualize the problem. So, for example, one guy I really like about in terms of visualization is a neat code guy, right? And I think that guy would one spend a lot less time in explaining a problem, but more importantly, he would like the visualization of this guy on the board is very good. Generally, sometimes you're not able to understand a problem because we just really want to go into the code, right? And then a lot of times I've seen some people that, they're saying, oh, we understand a problem, but we were not able to code it. I mean, how come you understand a problem and you're not able to code it? And generally, that's like there's some misconceptions around that. So if you're able to solve a problem on paper, just generally understand an algorithm in on paper through visualization, there is nothing stopping you from coding it, right? But if you think that, okay, I was able to understand the problem, but when it came to coding, I could not do it. I mean, there are generally some issues, some bugs that can be in your code. You might miss some if statement, you might be putting the wrong less than or less than equal to you call it a sign, for example. It can happen, right? That's why you sometimes memorize some things so you don't make those mistakes. Generally learn, and generally you would only have 50 or 60 total mistakes that you have to learn. And those 50 or 60 mistakes you would be repeating across 300 problems, right? So those are some suggestions around DSA. Some people are saying, can we do DSA on weekends? You can, but it's better if you do every day 1 hour before breakfast. So you wake up and just go for the hardest thing, that is DSA. It will really help you, and try to enjoy DSA. Do not try to make it something that is a nightmare. But if you don't feel like doing it for after 1 month, 2 months, okay, you just can leave it for some time, build a better discipline, build some sort of mindset that can help you do stuff that you don't want to do. And then in that meantime, you can continue to learn more things around engineering, maybe do open source, read articles and stuff like that. Assalamu alaikum, Shan bhai, I'm full stack .NET developer, but about .NET, I want to know your view about .NET. Again, .NET is a good stack, but there are some enterprises who would be working on it. I would generally, in the current market, not recommend only staying with .NET. I would say again, keep having some extra stack with you, but generally become a good engineer because people more and more as we move forward, people would be more interested in knowing how you think like an engineer, how you solve problems, what sort of projects have you built, and how many stacks do you have? Because with the help of AI now, it's very easy for you to learn something. If you get stuck into some issue, it's very easy for you to get out of it. So there's a lot more, like you can do stuff at 5 times the pace in today's world, and which is then the expectations of the company as well. If you're only stuck with, okay, I mean, generally, again, this is not an advice for a beginner, right? But if you already have some good fundamentals, good software engineering, you've built some projects, you should not be thinking, oh, I just did MERN or I did .NET and that's it. No, you would have to do cloud DevOps, you will have to do um, some system design, you will have to understand how systems work, you will have to do some sort of mobile engineering, yeah, some good experience with databases, security and stuff. Again, you can learn more about this mindset from that session, that is Think Like an Engineer. We also have a series on this. Which thing is most important, engineering, DSA or tech stack? Uh, Again, all of them are important, but it depends what company are you talking about. If you're talking about, hey, I want to go to some local company which does not have a very good discipline of engineering, they might not be asking DSA. But engineering or tech stack is always important. But if you see, okay, so if you want to think about, okay, the lowest level companies, they only will focus maybe on tech stack. I'm not sure of if those companies still exist in today's world, but generally this used to be the case. Local companies, basic companies, they just need tech stack for you to be able to get stuff done. But little slightly better companies or any company after that would require tech stack and engineering. And then the companies which are on top, they would definitely require DSA for you to be able to for them to be able to understand how do you think about problems and how do you approach them. Many times you would be going in interviews and maybe you're not able to complete a DSA problem. But if you approach it well and you are, thinking out loud, trying to explain your solution, people would sometimes like that. But then there are certain companies which have some would have some coding tests, which might have a DSA problem, a problem solving round. So yeah, but again, I would say okay, if you're an engineer, try to enjoy all of those things, and just so, for example, the people who would run away from DSA, think about that like you are doing some sort of mental sports. You're doing some workout for your brain. Even if you're not able to solve a problem for 1 month, which is true, many people would not be able to understand problems, even if they have completed 100 problems, and that's completely okay because things take time to register. When you are again making some notes, you're trying to revise stuff and everything. Okay. So I already explained why DSA is important. My data engineering में interested हूँ because I don't like web development और ना ही मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं मॉडल ट्रेनिंग टेस्टिंग और फिर डेटा पाइपलाइन बनाना और उसको डिप्लॉय करने में इसमें इंटरेस्टेड हूँ. Model training is not part of data engineering. Data pipelines are, and deployments are also generally not part of data engineering discipline, but it could come in that area. So you need to understand which part of engineering do you want to do, or full stack engineering मेरे लिए अच्छा है. There is no answer to it. What's good for you? Everything has some pros and cons. And then you got to see the job market of the area that you're targeting. So I'm not sure which area you in or where do you want to move to as far as the job market is concerned. But if you're asking, okay, where will we get more beginnerish, not very beginner, because market requires now people who have some experience or build some good projects. And people ask, okay, I am a graduate, how can I have experience? You can have experience by building very good projects, maybe doing some client work, doing open source stuff like that. Right. But generally, in data engineering, you would still need to have some experience. There are fewer roles which are for beginners. But that said, it's all about where your interest lies. If you think, hey, data engineering is something which is very cool, I really want to do it, and this is something that gives me a thrill, okay, go for it. Don't worry about anything else, right? So there are two things that you have to see. One thing is how, what sort of signals am I getting from the market? That's one side of the story. But the other side of the story is that where your interest lies and how deep you want to go in, how much hours can you spend a day. Generally, if you can spend 8, 10 hours a day, every day, including weekends, I mean, you will get some opportunity. Don't have to worry about it. Okay. But try to understand the field that you want to get into and what would you be doing in that, right? So data engineering is a completely different discipline from machine learning or deep learning, for example. Okay. DSA you can complete later as well. It's up to you what sort of companies you're targeting. Okay, so one question is that I'm completing my DSA and tech tasks on time. I'm submitting to mentor, but I'm not doing other stuff like content trading, grinding, listening to talks and stuff. This is a very good and very important question that everyone should be listening to very carefully. There are multiple things that you need to understand in life. Okay. So first of all, what is most important for any human before becoming a good engineer is that you have the capability to sit down for 10 hours or 8 hours. You have the capability to continue to do a task for 1 month or 2 months, right? You have the capability to read a book in 3 months. You have the capability to always thriving if you're not understanding a concept, right? All of this will come through a mindset, and all of this will come through a clear goal and a clear purpose and vision in life, right? And now this vision or that purpose that connects you with a higher goal, a higher cause. Because, okay, one thing is, okay, I want to get a job. That's not a very good thing to be thrilled about, right? Because if you just want to get a job and you don't want to make it big or make it to some big companies, um, then generally you can live a life which is standard life, which is a normal life, right? You can live a life where you're just, enjoying and relaxing, um, just getting stuff done at your own pace. You don't worry about pushing your limits, right? But if you have a good purpose in life, which is connecting to your higher cause, you do know that what my purpose in life is, um, then it will really change the way you do stuff. And that is more important. Someone who has a clear purpose in life or someone who's using the right strategies and spending a lot of time into getting some stuff done will be very different from someone who does not have a clear purpose, a clear vision in life, who's not spending a lot of hours. That generally, if Allah wills, generally the results these two individuals will be getting would be a lot different, right? And the only thing that is basically the differentiating factor between these two people is that mindset, right? And how do we develop that mindset, or how do we develop the right strategies, or how do we develop the right purpose in life? That is where we recommend those talks. So if you're not spending those 3 days, one again, I will again repeat that. One is that, okay, if you're having your breakfast, you need to spend some time on mindset talks. Because a lot of people, a lot of us, we have problems of bad dopamine. We have problem of instant gratification. We have problems of watching reels. We have problems of watching social media. We don't understand the power of longevity. We don't understand the power of consistency. And we are not spending a lot of time on that. We don't understand how to build good habits, right? What are the good ways to build a habit? What are the good ways to plan your task? What are the right ways to schedule your task? How to make your notes? How to plan your days? How to plan your weeks? How to review your weeks, for example? All of these are skills that build your right mindset and build your right skills to be able to get stuff done, right? So it's more like if someone does not know how to study, right? How can that person study? It's more like you're reading one chapter from one book and the second chapter from second and third chapter from third book. If the strategy is wrong, right? If you're not getting enough sleep, for example, if you're not getting right food, for example, if you're not getting sunlight, if you're not having the right meals, for example, if you're not having the right water intake, for example, everything, like, because you're a human, you need to understand what your mind and your body needs from you. And we don't understand that because we were never taught about it. We were always taught, hey, बस पढ़ना है जी, बस पढ़ना है, पढ़ने वाले पढ़ लेते हैं. Right? We were told about this. We were never told about that. You're human and you humans too have some needs. Their bodies have needs, their minds have need. And there are a lot of studies and there are a lot of techniques that if you can use them, there are a lot of books that you can read them, they will make you productive. Right? So mindset talks are actually to be able to make you productive, to be able to be able to understand the right techniques. Right? That's one. Number two, you need to love your craft. If someone does not love cricket, if someone does not love basketball, if someone doesn't love football, soccer, for example, they might not be able to enjoy it. They might, and if they're not enjoying it, and enjoying something is one part of the story. It's not the whole story, for us at least. But if you're not enjoying your engineering, I mean DSA, if you're doing DSA like it's torture. If you're reading an article just because कि आपने किसी को बताना है, just because you're accountable to someone, then you're not generally enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying something, it would not feel like, and it would not give you the right benefits of it. And that is where lunch engineering comes in, that you need to understand how people are doing stuff in the world, how people work in top companies in the world, how was some XYZ technology being built. This is kind of developing that love for your craft for you. So mindset talks with the breakfast is about mindset, about the right discipline, right productivity. Lunch engineering, again, told you about that. And but last not the least, dinner engineering is about connecting yourself with your true purpose, connecting yourself with a higher being, going into religious or spiritual side and trying to find out what your purpose in life is. And that is the biggest factor that can push your limits. If you do not have a true purpose in life, अगर सिर्फ यही purpose है that okay, I just want to get a car or get a house or make my parents something, um, it might not push you to your full limits, right? And generally, we are not spending time on that. We're closing our eyes to all the injustice happening in the world, and then we do not feel like we have a responsibility towards it, right? And that is one of the biggest reason why we're not able to achieve anything. Because at times, even if you have love for engineering, even if you know all the techniques in the world, how to stay disciplined, how to make habits, how to eat, everything, but at times you will feel like not doing it. And then there has to be a very true purpose, a very true awakening, a very strong push that makes you want to do it. And that comes from a very strong purpose in life. But for all of these things to happen, you have to spend time on it. And it's not any extra time. It's just simply, okay, if you're having a meal, just watch some video along with it and try to internalize it. Just don't binge watch it. Right? And for that, again, हमने पहले भी discuss किया हुआ है, we've discussed it before that for that to happen, you have to let the bad habits go. You have to let your social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, everything. You have to let it go. If they will go, If your bad habits will go, then something good will replace them. So that was your answer to talks. Same goes for content reading. Content reading is for your engineering understanding. Even if you're understanding, okay, gee, I know very good Node and MERN or whatsoever, but you are not generally understanding the things behind it, the general engineering practices and everything, you would generally not be able to use them in the right way, right? You won't be able to compare a lot of technologies. And moving forward, as you move forward, trust me, many of the guys, one thing that every one of you should learn. One thing that's going to happen for sure is that we're going to get very bad engineers in next few years because everyone is going to rely on AI to get stuff done. Okay, but that is true when they are working on non-production small projects, and that will produce very bad engineers, right? And when that era come in next 6, 8, 10 months, 11 months, 1 year, 2 year, whatever the new um, engineers we're getting, there will be a serious shortage of good engineers who do understand stuff, who can compare technologies, who can use them to the fullest, who can use them in the right way, for example. And the one thing that would be differentiating, even now and in future, um, the good engineers from the bad AI engineers would be the guys or the girls who would be doing good reading, who would be understanding stuff, who would not just be relying on AI, who would be asking AI to give actually the articles or books recommendation to be able to understand and learn stuff, right? So um, that is about it. Now, how to manage it? Again, talks ka to masla hi nahi hai. Talks are very easy to go. I mean, you're having just meals. You just need to have the dedication to just play a video while you're having meal. You definitely will have 3 meals, right? And definitely fix your sleep schedule. Number two is about the reading. We generally recommend ki at least once a week, which is Saturday ke 2 hours, 2 hours on Saturday. You spend 2 hours consistently, dedicatedly on deep engineering reading. If you're spending 2 hours only, I'm not asking for more. You can go more, but minimum if you're spending 2 hours, you would be able to read a fair chunk of something. You can complete a chapter on a book, right? And that is where I always tell that power of consistency or power of longevity is very important. You don't need to think, hey, I need to complete 10 articles every day, or I need to complete one book in a month or in a week. It's not about that. Even if you're completing one chapter, or even if you're completing 2, 3 good articles every weekend, it's okay. No problem. But you need to do every weekend, right? That is the power of longevity. That's where you get some good greatness, right? That's a journey of greatness. Okay. So that's how you manage it. Or Sunday ka jo 2 hours hai, 2 hours on Sunday, we have always discussed that 2 hours specifically focus on writing very good deep engineering articles on everything that you have learned and writing about it. Now, you should understand, and I've explained that as well in the Think Like an Engineer series session. I mean, AI can write an article within 10 minutes if you give it a topic, right? And a good prompt. Even 10 minutes or more, like 10 minutes are much more than AI would take, right? But if I'm giving you 2 hours to write about something, that means that would involve a lot of reading as well. That would involve a lot of back and forth with AI, comparisons, incident stories, asides, big word alerts, trying to further read something. And for that, I always recommend that if you're trying to read a topic, think of the topic like you're reading from Wikipedia. Because if you go to Wikipedia and you try to study something, you will always, so every word will have some hyperlink. If you click on it, there will be another topic, another topic, and another topic. And that is a sort of engineering study that every one of you should be doing if you want to become, fully aware of the things that you're working on, right? Else people, I mean, there would be a lot of people who would get stuff done with AI, but it will have a lot of issues and it would not be providing the actual value. But on the other hand, someone who knows all this context, right, uh, will do much better. Okay. Ji, who's next? I think what is the best or recommended way of sharing your work, like things you did during your internship? If you work for a company, you can share docs. No, you can't share the private repository, obviously code and everything. So it depends. If you're working with a company, right? There are multiple ways that you can go about it. First and the easiest way is that if you were able to solve a really good engineering problem, you write about a case study. You write about it as a case study in your LinkedIn, in your resume, whatsoever. So it is, definitely there. And then try to approach that problem. For example, hey, I solved um, a cold start problem in my infrastructure when I was working on this XYZ project, right? Now, this is a very good topic to talk about because it will show one, a real problem that you solved. Two, it will show recruiters that, okay, you have some production experience. And three, people would generally be interested in that instead of you saying, hey, okay, let's learn about Docker as well. Again, Docker or Slanky topics, they're also for beginners. But if you have worked for a company, then you should be writing articles that engineers like me, for example, would be more interested in reading, right? Because again, you need to understand why are you writing content? Why are you writing articles? People do branding so that that branding can help them get hired. If you're only writing articles or if you're only writing content for fourth or fifth semester ke bache, then how can it get you hired? I mean, it can get you reach and everything. That's a different thing, which definitely helps as well. But uh, I mean, if the article is not that good, what's going to happen is that one good senior engineers are not going to interact with that article, which does not build that sort of authenticity, because the algorithms on any social media work like, okay, you need to have interactions, but you also need to see what sort of interactions you're having. If you're getting high quality interactions from some good people, your profile would be positioned like that, right? So just understand ki bhai, what is the value of your content. If the value of content is good, go with it. And even if the value of content is not good, even if you did not do something very good at your company, but when you're approaching that article and you're spending 2 hours and you're generally asking AI, okay, I want to sound like a senior engineer. I don't want to be having any unauthentic uh, content in it. And then you're asking different AIs to find out issues with it, or trying to fill the gaps in it, or trying to ask, I need some further reading. What could be a better way to this? Sometimes one answer is not the actual, sometimes one answer is not the only answer to a problem, right? So when even if you did something and it's not that high value, you can still make it very valuable by adding those sort of suggestions and solutions in your actual article, right? So again, make it very valuable. Whatever you write, try to make sure it is of good quality, even if you do once a week, and once a week is okay. I understand the problem, but I didn't build solving patterns. For solving patterns, we have very good resource on resources.devweekends.com, right? And the sessions that we are delivering also approach the problems from a pattern, right? So try to understand those patterns. Once you will understand the patterns, it will be very easy for you to solve problems. But obviously, you will still have to kind of identify the problem and then map it to a pattern. Just from how do you know when you're ready to declare yourself qualified for a tech and put it on your resume? What is the minimum level you expect since it's responsible to learn everything? First of all, never think that you're ready, because engineering is something where you have to continuously learn. There will always be something. Okay, that's number one. Number two is always never feel underconfident. कि भाई अभी तो बहुत I have to do a lot of work, right? Um, so yes, project is a good deciding factor. कि भाई okay, I need to have 2 3 solid projects जिसके अंदर I've done some sort of good stuff, but that does not mean कि भाई if you haven't built those projects, you stop competing in any open source programs. You stop competing in hackathons, you stop looking into some open source projects when the time is right? That does not mean कि भाई आप वो सब कुछ छोड़ दें. But yes, if you haven't built 2 3 good projects, then other things should not be having a lot of priority. One thing that people usually do is that they are building a good project because one good project teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you how to understand the problems, the requirements, how to deploy something, how to build good architecture, how to get out of a problem which you were not able to find out what the problem was, everything, right? There were a lot of things. Um, so one problem, one mistake that usually people do is um, they stop in the middle of that and something that's giving them instant results. For example, they went to hackathon, use some sort of AI, got some result out of it, and they think, okay, this is my life. Don't go that way. But generally, do not also stop yourself from doing it. Again, give first priority to the stuff which is more valuable, and definitely anything that is valuable will take time. That's a general rule. But do not stop yourself from other things. Keep learning and watching sometimes feel really overwhelming because tutorials are too long and it breaks momentum, and covering a lot of stuff daily seems as gathering scattered knowledge that ended up feeling nothing. So watching tutorials is a starting point because if you would not have been watching the tutorial, then things would be much more scattered. So watching tutorials in the start is okay because they are more structured than other resources. Um, the only problem is how you're approaching the tutorials. People usually think, okay, it's a tutorial, I have to just copy it and everything and build a project. But a lot of times, a tutorial is teaching you a lot of things. I mean, people, again, they might not be the best engineers in the world for making the tutorials, but they are engineers, right? They're reasonably good engineers in yourself, and they are sometimes teaching you a lot of stuff that you are not trying to put attention on. And this is a constant problem with our fellows even, right? So many times you guys have built projects, but when we try to ask, okay, why did you use this or why did you use that? And people are like, oh, I don't know, that guy used it. I mean, okay, that guy used it, but why did you use it? Oh, I don't know, right? So again, it's more around the mindset. Um, okay, next, okay. So just try to approach it in the right way. And then if you're making the notes, you will feel like you built something and you understood something. If you're just copying and pasting what the guy was coding, then obviously it would not make you feel accomplished. I have a question for you. Certainly, that's my biggest fear stress. Initially, aim was to learn AI, but due to some reason, started learning Marn and I've completed it. And many people, third-party libraries, are not satisfied with this field due to current job market. My mentor has wanted to learn DevOps. I have learned internship, but the task were too simple, so I quit the internship. Uh, okay, just because the tasks were simple does not mean you should quit the job. Sometimes they are simpler tasks, and then suddenly good work can come in. Uh, you can generally always continue to learn something on your own. About MERN, anyone who has been able to, you know, do some good progress, generally we have recommended that as well. It's not about MERN stack, right? If you learn MERN, you build some good projects, and you have to do DevOps, you have to do some sort of cloud, you have to do AI engineering, which is simple AI integration and some techniques around it, right? If you think, okay, I will just do MERN and I will just do web and that's it, and I will be very happy. I'm sorry, that's not the case in current market, and that was never the case with good job market, right? The point is, where do you want to go? If you want to go to good engineering companies, you will have to think beyond this. कि भाई, I'm a MERN developer. Okay, you have to think I'm an engineer. Okay, I need to know end-to-end engineering because that has a lot of benefits. You can build projects end to end. You can get into hackathons. You can get to open source work. There's a lot of benefits to it. And then if you know engineering and basic development, and then you learn cloud or DevOps or security, anything, it will make a lot more sense. I have sat with people who have no engineering background and they just jumped into cloud and DevOps, and they would make very rookie mistakes because they would not understand the underlying architecture. Anyone who has engineering and coding skills and then they jumped into high level any high level discipline, it makes a lot more sense. It was very easy for you. Plus, you are in fourth semester, so you have some time. So don't worry about it, but focus on getting stuff done, building some projects, and as soon as you can, get into open source, right? And all about other things like DevOps, cloud, everything. ये technical चीजें हैं. These are technical stacks or frameworks or whatsoever. You can just spend every weekend. If you guys are spending every weekend on a new stack, in 3 months you will have how many? 12 new technologies that you would have learned, and spending like 12 hours or 16 hours on one technology is more than enough to learn it in a good enough way. And then obviously you have to obviously get into mock interviews, because you can learn a lot of stuff, but two things will really glue them together, or three things will really glue them together. One is how good you were making your notes, and how good you were trying to relate all of these engineering things together. That's number one. Okay. Number two is um your mock interviews around those things, right? And number three is your general engineering reading. Because if you're learning authentication, for example, in some XYZ technology, you might not have learned it properly because you built a project and you did not get deep into what salts were or what the rotations were and stuff like that, right? But if you're some other day, if you're doing some true engineering reading on authentication, for example, security stuff, you will be able to relate a lot more. If you do these three things, right? And I've explained also how to use AI to interview you. I'll come back to maybe spend 2 minutes on that. But generally, if you're doing these three things, things start. This works like a gel to bring everything together and for you to start making sense of all of those things. For the interviews, every time you study some topic and you feel confident in it, you should go AI and you should ask it, okay, grill me on this topic. Should try to ask me questions. Okay. One mistake that we guys do is that we try to do interview questions. In just studying interview questions is not a very good, I mean, it's okay to start with, but it's not a very good way to go with the actual interview. Because in actual interview, what will happen is that people will try to ask you follow-up questions, and we're usually not ready with follow-up questions. People are going to ask you about follow-up around some module in your project that you developed, right? So that's my recommendation to you, that when you're trying to have some interviews, ask AI to ask follow-up questions to you to try to grill you, and then you would again use your voice mode to speak in to the AI, and then AI can see if you were good in multiple areas on correctness, if your answer was vague or not, if it was ambiguous or not, if it was truly true or not, if there could have been another answer, if you were more structured or not. All of these things are important, right? And again, you can go more deeper into it in the Think Like an Engineer session. It will help you a lot. One guy tell me who worked in GCC for around 8 years, the GCC in Europe. Total market is very good as compared to one, and I want to take advice from you about ML and spending for Microsoft Engine Framework. Europe and AI is worth to learn. Yeah, everything is worth to learn. And yes, that is true. It really depends upon the market, right? So some markets are generally good for some XYZ technologies. So for example, if you go to SF, I don't think, maybe it's very unlikely that you will see .NET over there. SF is San Francisco, Silicon Valley, right? So again, वही बात है. If you're planning for a specific, जो मैंने पहले भी बोला कि if you're planning, for example, if someone wants to learn robotics and they want to stay in Pakistan, I was like, okay, rethink about it. Maybe do something else um, in parallel, for example, right? Um, but again, you go to study the market that you're going into, and everything can help. But again, we बात है कि if you're gonna apply for some position and they require ML.NET, for example, okay, just spend one weekend and learn it, right? This is again wahi baat hai. If you guys need to understand the Eisenhower matrix will, if you make it, it will tell you, okay, what are those top 20% things that can get you 80% results, right? So for example, if I'm applying for 10 different companies and they require, like their requirements are certain XYZ skills for my stack, okay, then okay, let's go for that things instead of just trying to learn a very completely new stack, right? So that is your answer. Okay, let's come back to voice questions. People are raising hands. G, who was first? Fahad? Ji Fahad, if you're
Assalamu alaikum,
speaking.
sir.
Walaikum assalam.
I hope you are doing well, sir. So actually, I would like to start with the blocker. So the thing that block me, that is me. Like I'm the one who is blocking myself from doing things. Like I'm lacking with the mindset, or you could say I'm in the final semester and having my final exams, and I am at 0 point. I was no clarity of what should I do in my career and something like that. And my friend, he suggested me that there is a fellowship, you should do that. So I was thinking that fellowship will be the same as the some 3 months courses, 2 weeks classes, and then they will do assign you some projects or tasks. So that was the whole thing. Uh, but I was a step away. That I was just ready for. Okay, I should left this field, and this is something that I am suffering from, and some technical issues that I was going through. That was a laptop issue I had for a month last month, and I stuck in. Uh, you can say, okay, I can do that. Maybe I'm the not the right person for this software engineering field. Even I was very excited when I started this fellowship. Okay, I have this opportunity. I will do, and I had no idea about DSA as well. So I don't know what should I do, and something that I felt myself. I do make plans and. I'd say, okay, I will do this and complete this, but I could not able to complete anything that I want to do for to make me better. So
Mhm.
that's all the thing.
Acha, so last thing that you said, na, iska ye to everyone has a problem. So don't worry about it. And over time, we try to compensate for it. It's not about you can always overcome it, but you can compensate for it. So, for example, if 1 month went by and it was not so good, then the next month could be good, or the month after that could be much better than that. No, because humans, our hearts are, we are created weak. So it's not that कि भाई, no one is 100% productive every month, right? Um, but
Yeah.
it's more about awareness, right? If you know, okay, I was not productive and have not been of any value. And second thing is you need to understand why you have not been able to do it. Laptop issue is chalo theek hai, wo separate thing hai. But generally, why weren't you able to do it when things were going the right way, right? Why weren't you asking yourself, right? So the time when you were unaware of yourself itself, just let it go. Don't worry about it. Don't regret that time. कि अच्छा जी,
Yeah.
before coming to dev weekends, was not aware about anything. That's why I wasn't able to do it. That's not the that's not the entire truth. But okay, let it go. Do not regret about that time, because regrets would then make you suffer more, right? Okay, wasted six
Yes.
months.
Yes.
Now what should I do? Waste 6 more months. That's what you should be doing, right? Because no one was
Yes.
stopping you from finding out the ways even before in the first 3.5 years of your degree, right? So now finally, if you're
Yeah.
at the end, again, do not try to just leave things in the mid. Try to go all in. Do not, again, we seriously have a serious problem of hopelessness, right? If you're
Yes.
good, Allah will make ways for you. Don't worry about it, right? But you need to understand कि भाई अभी what has been the biggest issue for you. Try to find that out and then try to discuss that in one-on-one with your mentor, right? But don't try to give up. That's one advice that I can give to anyone, that do not try to give up on anything, no matter how much time did you waste. You guys, all of you, I'm pretty sure you guys would be much, much younger than me. And you guys have a life ahead of you, right?
Yes, and so I compare myself a lot. Like, okay,
Do not.
oh, see, he's doing very good stuff. And my friend who suggested me the fellowship, he just completed DSA, so I was shocked, and I was not shocked, but I was happy that he done this, and I discuss with mentors as well. What should I do? I'm lacking in mindset, problem solving, or I'm not getting on logic buildings. So how to do that? And one thing I feel that what I can do for myself, I do you can say love environment at home. I spend 24 hours 24 hours a day at home, and just watching reels, or you can say just wasting
That's
my
your
time.
problem,
And
na?
even I
Hmm.
like think about goals. Okay, I need to do my task, and okay, whatever has done the technical
You
issues,
got to
whatever.
you
But
got to take you got to take the hard decisions in life. Okay, one
yeah,
thing for everyone is, if you guys are not reviewing your week every weekend, just once, 15 minute लगते हैं, it just hardly takes 15 minutes. Okay, you guys can take 30 minutes. 40 minutes ले लें. On a nice, cozy Sunday morning, get up, take a cup of chai or coffee, whatever you like. Go sit in sunlight, write down about your 1 week. How did it go by? Write about your thoughts as questions. Always write your thoughts as questions, that why I am thinking it, right? And is it the right question to ask? Is it a problem with my belief? What is the root cause of this question? And what is the
yeah,
solution to it, right? If you guys are not doing it, you're not finding the answers to it. Because a lot of times, all of us, we know the problem, but we're not trying to find the solution. Because, and generally, we know that solution as well. जैसे अभी आप बात कर रहे हो ना, तो you know, okay, this is the problem right now. One problem is the wrong mindset and wrong belief. कि, okay, everyone has done it. I'm not able to do it. So what now?
yeah.
What now? Work, man. क्या हो सकता है? They were able to do it because they were more aware. They were not enjoying reels and everything when you were doing it. Okay, let them do it. Let them have their fair share of success, right?
Yeah.
But you did not have it. And why aren't you having it now? What is stopping you from having success now? Reels or everything. Let it go. Delete those accounts. Do not be like, oh, मैं तो वो time लगा लूंगा उस पे.
And when the fellowship started, I deleted Instagram or some social media apps. Then when I just stuck on technical issue,
यार
so I just
शैतान
installed
शैतान का
that again.
शैतान एक दफा वापस आके वापस ना आता ना, तो क्या ही जिंदगी होती. But evil whispers are like that, right? Those things will
बिल्कुल.
keep hitting you. And a lot of things we do by emotions. Oh, I want to do something. But it takes some time to build habits, right?
Yes,
Sometimes you
sure.
will break them, then remake them. You will get detracked and then you come back. So don't worry about it. But don't never always just keep one thing in mind. Life का mantra ये होना चाहिए कि I don't want to give up. I have a much bigger purpose to serve. And if you guys don't have still haven't figured out a purpose at 21, 22, 23 years of age, when people used to go for bigger wars at 14 years, 15 years of age and get some stuff done. So if you guys don't haven't figured it out, then start figuring it out. Okay, bhai, there's a lot more stuff that you have to do. And you guys
Yes,
cannot die without giving back to the community. ठीक है? and you will find out the answers. You will find out the techniques to come out of it, inshallah. And keep praying. Ask people, ask your parents to pray for you. And then
And
there are certain du'as that you can do that will stop you those evil whispers, right?
yeah, fine.
So Nas is
And
very good.
and sir, one last question: that how to get fall in love with a mindset of not giving up, or as you mentioned in the earlier session,
Pray to Allah. Pray to
yeah,
Allah to give you some purpose, that ask Him to use you for something big. Ask Him to make you capable that you could serve His deen, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then praying to Him, and then trying to figure out and try to see what you have, all of us have not been able to see. The injustice in the world, the pain of people. Try to see that. When you will try to see that, and maybe put those pictures in front of you, and then you will be watching reels and everything, um, it will always hopefully trigger something in you, that what am I doing with my life? Right?
yeah.
Why am I
So,
not there? Not helping those people. Takes time.
sir, like, is it fine to get start with the basics? Because I find myself no strong enough fundamentals in programming. So I told my mentor, so they suggested me that you should take a course from DSA, from C++, from devweekends website. I think that was the resources. So
Yeah,
I
again, the fundamentals, we have put some good crash courses on resources for the weekends. Um, it, so fundamental prerequisites could be in itself a whirlpool where you might just
yeah,
continue to go into more deep, right? So I would say just divide some time.
yeah,
So for example, if you are what might happen is, okay, I want to learn C++. Okay, then I want to learn OOP. Oh no, now I want to learn OOD. Oh, now I want to learn bits and bytes and how things get stored in computer memory and everything. So it's never ending. The fundamental something is never ending. I till date have a lot of things that I need to still study, right? But you go to
yeah,
divide some time, right? Sometimes you have to, this is some of one advice that one of my mentors gives me, that you sometimes also should learn in abstractions. If you will continue to go deep into everything, then you would not go anywhere. A lot of times, and even the best of the engineers in the world, they do not they won't always know everything of a particular
yeah,
technology. So that's why
yeah,
we divide some time. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for having the time.
Welcome. If you're watching tech talks or content, then issue is that content doesn't even comes around the thumbnail for the video, so it's harder to find the quality. It's a good thing. We actually have some recommended talks on resources or dev weekends that you can watch. Um, and some engineering articles as well, right? And it's also good that you can have some engineering talks by some good people. And one more thing is that it's not necessary for you to always have the content of your choice. Sometimes the content might be repeated and something which is rarely the case when you're a beginner. Uh, but there are a lot of concepts that you're learning from those things. And they're generally building a good engineering mindset that subconsciously is getting developed and you don't know about it. Okay? I started front-end journey, but didn't find it interesting, so I switched to fast API, completed some course on it, but at the point I'm a bit confused in choosing between DevOps and engineering. I'm a big fan of Linux. Do both, Abdullah. Do we get certificate? Yes. The session may end, but you will get connected to yes. I'm also in fifth semester. I'm learning full stack concept, and I should be prepared for DSA problem. Yes. Two questions. According to psychology, can a human multitask, and what is the right way? Good question. I'll come to it. So Zan के क्वेश्चन से स्टार्ट करते हैं अभी थोड़ी देर में. Before that, Tayyib.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम.
ज़ीशान भी मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि मुझे ना मैं स्क्रैच से कर रहा हूँ बिगिनर्स, तो मुझे एक
ठीक
एक
है.
पॉइंट जो वो लिखना पड़ता है, एक एक सेंटेंस लिखना पड़ता है, एक एक वर्ड लिखना पड़ता है, और फिर मैं उसकी मिनट बाय मिनट मैं उसकी प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ VS कोड पे, जो कि मतलब कोड लिखता हूँ सारा, जैसे कि ट्यूटोरियल में बताया जा रहा होता है। तो जस्ट एक अपनी सेल्फ असेसमेंट में कर रहा था कि जो मेरी लर्निंग स्पीड है, जो जैसी मेरी परफॉर्मेंस है, उसके अकॉर्डिंग। तो जैसे ये 4 मंथ्स का जर्नी है फेलोशिप का, मुझे तो
हम्म,
बहुत टाइम लगेगा। और मेरा जबकि इतना ज़्यादा ये वो है गैप है, मैंने टेक इंडस्ट्री में काम नहीं किया, तो वो जो गैप है वो भी मुझे बाज़ ज़ात इरिटेट करता है। क्योंकि कुछ गूज बम्प्स होते हैं, कुछ ऐसी डिस्ट्रैक्शंस होती हैं जो हम अपने इर्द गिर्द से फील कर रहे होते हैं, महसूस कर रहे होते हैं। तो कि शायद मुझे
हम्म,
जब ये जर्नी कब साल बाद कंप्लीट करता हूँ, या वेरी जनरली मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ, जो मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि जब भी ये मुझे मैं एक स्टेज पे आ जाऊँगा कि मैं किसी जगह इंटरव्यू के लिए जा रहा हूँ या मुझे कोई बुलाता है, तो वो जब मुझे सेस करेगा, मेरा जो डिफरेंस है इतना ज़्यादा 5 से 6 साल का, तो वो मुझे किस किस तरह से वो मैं फिट इन होऊंगा आज के इस टाइम में।
ठीक
और
है।
ये
मुझे
सारा
दो।
इसके
हम्म,
साथ एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन ये भी है कि मैं डीएसए भी करना है, लेकिन डीएसए के लिए ना मुझे, क्योंकि मैं सुबह जाता हूँ तो जॉब से आने के बाद ना मैं कंसिस्टेंटली वर्किंग कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन डीएसए को प्रॉपर टाइम नहीं दे पा रहा, उसकी नोशन शीट भी अपडेट करनी है, और ईच एंड
हम्म।
एवरीथिंग भी बहुत सारा काम करना है। तो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं जो मेरे माइंड में आ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये कुछ एक थोड़ा सा मैंने आपके साथ शेयर करना था, तो प्लीज़ थोड़ा मुझे गाइड कीजिएगा।
क्वेश्चंस में पहला तो जो आपका ना नोट्स लेने वाला, द नोट्स शुड बी good enough in a way that they are teaching you about a concept. Okay, कि भाई अगर मुझे बात, so for example sometimes people are making very lengthy notes, एक एक लाइन लिख रहे होते हैं, it's as if that you are rewriting their tutorial. You don't have to do it. Okay, you have to underline, yeah, you have to write down the stuff that is more important for you in terms of notes, कि भाई अच्छा ठीक है, what does this state do, what does this hook do, what would be this component, what does this component mean, things like that. Do not try to write the code in your notes itself. Again, keep them. And general rule of thumb about notes is that try to understand that every note that you're writing today, you will sometimes have to read it as well before an interview. Now, if you have to spend 2 hours to just read your notes, then how are those notes helpful for you to clear that interview, right? So structuring your notes, keeping them short and to the point and concise is more important rather than them being too lengthy. Okay. और इसके ऊपर you guys can like spend some time and watch some tutorial, watch some video how to make good enough notes, not too detailed. Assignments नहीं लिखनी है या नए articles नहीं लिखने हैं आपने, ठीक है? And one more thing about making good notes is simply, very simply, ask AI to do it for you, right? And then read through them and see if everything makes sense, and maybe try to 1, 2, 3 iterations on that. And you can use extensions which can simply pull out the captions of any video, and then you can just give it to AI and it will just do a good job on it, right? And then maybe highlight a few things, add some pictures, something like that, but not too much details. Okay? About the notes, about the gap. Huh.
जी, एक और बात मैं कहना चाहूँगा। आपकी जो प्रीवियस जो मीटअप्स हैं ऑनलाइन, वो भी मैं देखता रहता हूँ यूट्यूब पे, तो उसमें आपने कुछ पॉइंट्स पे आपने कहा है कि वी हैव टू ट्रेन आवर न्यूरॉन्स। तो बेसिकली ना मैं अपने माइंड को जो सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग की जो नीश है, उसके मुताबिक
Hmm.
ट्रेन करने के लिए मैं इस तरह से करूँ ताकि मेरा माइंड एक दफ़ा उसके मुताबिक सेटल हो जाए, ताकि वो एक फ्लो बन जाएगा और माइंड उस तरह से सोचना शुरू करेगा, उस तरह से पैटर्न्स बनाना शुरू करेगा। कुछ इस तरह से आपने बताया था।
DSA
तो
में I recommended that. Okay. For engineering, that happens with engineering reading. Okay. और उसके बाद भी there will be certain, maybe we'll have another session on how to build a mind map around some things. Because at a time, for example, I am now at a time where my notes have grown so much. So I have to build then the next step in that journey is that you have to build a summary of your notes itself to be able to build a good mind map of something, because there are a lot of things that can happen, right? For DSA, I said it. If you're spending more time in DSA and trying to solve problem, and that's 1 hour a day. Again, we need to understand that कि हम time कितना लगा रहे हैं, 1 to 2 hours a day. If you're spending that time, it's not eating up a lot of time, right? And those notes are important because in DSA, you're completely learning a very different thing, right? In general engineering, it can happen, but you guys are not still there, right? So in general engineering, you won't spend this much time on notes, okay? Um, but yes, your notes can be structured. Structure is like if you studied something in authentication or security or performance on databases, and then you also built a project with MongoDB and React or whatsoever Node.js, you're able to kind of capture those ideas together in your notes. Do not make बस के बना दिए एक दफा रिएक्ट के पढ़े तो रिएक्ट के नोट्स अलहदा बना दिए and system design पढ़े तो उनके नोट्स अलहदा बना दिए नहीं. Try to capture those things together, gel them in together, because everything is connected with everything. It's not going to happen कि अच्छा if you were studying database engineering at one place and then other time you were learning on modern, those things are not related. They are related. Just so you just don't know yet, but eventually they will start making sense. Sometimes they would not be. Sometimes all ideas would not be related to a specific technology, but in future, inshallah, when you will go more deeper, you will understand, okay, it was actually related in some sense, right? But we don't need to know all the answers in the start. Sometimes you go by the flow, okay? What's more important, again, is that we need to understand the output of our time, right? So there are certain things, certain areas or certain time that we spend without having to think of, for example, if I'm reading a book, someone recently gifted me a book which I was looking for, computer system. So if I'm reading that book, that does not have immediate benefit in terms of if I want to switch a job, right? But if I'm reading that for 2 hours, I don't have to think about it. कि ओ इसका मुझे फायदा होगा कि नहीं होगा. I mean, I know it will happen. I mean, I know it will help me, and it will have some benefit. But when I'm studying that sort of areas, then I'm not thinking a lot around the results on it, right? I know it's going to help a lot me in terms of engineering or ये वो. But at the same time, I have to give a big chunk of the things which are more aligned with the goals and which are more of a requirement of the market, which is, again, you need to move fast, you need to build projects, you need to show them, and you need to do well in the interviews, right? And you need to kind of prepare for the interviews. In order for you to be able to prepare for the interviews, again, you need to do the reading and try to understand stuff, but a lot of the times, a lot about rehearsal as well, right? Sometimes people, and every time people would not know all the underlying details. So that's one. About DSA. अच्छा, DSA में ये है कि it's about schedule, or it comes to the question as well from Zad कि भाई how to do multitask. So one, multitasking पे भी आते हैं, but sometimes if you have a lot of stuff to do, for example, if you have a job और उसके बाद you get tired and you have engineering stuff, and then you do not find time for DSA, for example, so then it's okay. What you can do is that you can spend next 3 months only for tech, and then find time for DSA after that, over the weekends maybe. Because you need to find out, okay, what's more important for me if I just want to enter the market, which is good to have some projects. ठीक है? और the answer to okay, मैं लेट क्यों हूँ, तो उसका आंसर अपने पास लिख लें कि मैं लेट इसलिए कि ऐसे ही होना था, मुझे लेट ही मिलना था, अल्लाह ने मुझे ऐसे ही लिखा, मेरे लिए लिखा था, और अल्लाह पे मुझे मान है, वो मुझे रुसवा नहीं करेगा. He will give me the results. So there's a lot of things that come with belief. You don't have to have the answers to everything. ठीक है? And along with that, I will answer the question, psychology, can a human multitask? Yes, we can. बट नॉट टू मच मल्टीटास्किंग। अभी अगर आप ये मल्टीटास्किंग ये है कि ओ कैन आई watch reels while watching a video? No, it's not true. You can't do it. Can I listen to music? I don't generally don't recommend it while solving DSA problems. So इस तरह की नहीं है. हाँ, but structured way में if you have a schedule, right? Okay, Monday to Friday have a very easy schedule. Um, go to spend 2 hours on DSA, for example, and then 8 hours on one project. You're not doing any multitasking in that. It's a very simpler. Even you can have 4 slots in a day, right? Sometimes you will have interviews, so you will be spending 4 hours on project and 4 hours on interview prep. That's okay, right? But if you feel like, oh, I don't work that way, which is generally not the truth, but so very rare cases where people just want to spend time on one thing. And if you are again, and that one thing, if you're passionate about it and you know, okay, you can get results for that in 2 months, 3 months, okay, skip everything and focus on that one thing, right? But do not try to skip the time for your mindset, the time for your love of engineering, and time for your dean. Okay. So context switching is a very different concept. There's a very good video of that uh, on TED Talk. There's a TED Talk. You can watch that, right? So context switching is where you spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes on something and then you nahi. Deep work is okay, spend 2 hours and then you can do Pomodoro technique. How to communicate well and have good fluency in English, try to listen a lot more. Because if you know about the kids, जितने भी हमारे बच्चे होते हैं, they do not learn from speaking. They don't learn to speak how to from speaking. They learn to speak from listening. So if you guys are spending more time in watching those videos, reading those articles, you will generally become fluent in English. And the other thing is, do not feel underconfident when you're trying to speak in English. Second question is, do you think a hackathon is a better way of learning? How can we know if it's helpful or not? Hackathon generally is not a good way of learning, but it's not a better way of learning. It's better way of exposure, you can say, but generally you not become very good engineer from just doing hackathons. People generally prioritize that more, but um, and especially in the current era, no. But it good for networking, good for quick bucks, good for some quick exposure, you can say, right? But if you're spending your days like a hackathon, like sitting 8-10 hours a day, and just doing real work, you will learn a lot more and doing that for consistent period of time. ठीक है जी तहरीम बच्चे, what's your question? Okay, Tahreem is not here, Momina. Can't hear you guys. अब ये मेरा मसला है या no one can hear them? Can anyone hear Momina or Tahreem? No, okay. All right, so I'll come back to the questions.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, बच्चे.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि मैं जैसे कि मेरा मल्टी वेंडर प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है इस वक्त और इसके साथ साथ मैं इंटर्नशिप भी कर रही हूँ। सर मसला ये है कि मैं मतलब अपने मल्टी वेंडर प्रोजेक्ट में जो भी चीज़ सीखती हूँ ना वो मैं वहाँ पे अप्लाई कर देती हूँ, मतलब मैं उसको रिवाइज भी कर रही हूँ, लेकिन मतलब मुझे एक चीज़ करके भूल जाती है। अब मैंने पिछला प्रोजेक्ट किया था उसमें मैंने कॉन्टेक्स्ट एपीआई यूज़ की और इसमें मैंने रिडक्स यूज़ किया, लेकिन अब उस चीज़ को मतलब अगर 1 वीक गुजर गया, अब मैं उसको दोबारा करने बैठती हूँ तो मैं उसको इंडिपेंडेंटली नहीं कर सकती। एक क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है और दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अब जो हमारे पास वीकली रीडिंग्स आती हैं, उन रीडिंग्स को करने में सबसे पहले तो मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा एक आर्टिकल को पढ़ने में ऑलमोस्ट मुझे 2 आवर्स लग जाते हैं। अब मैंने उसको अच्छे से रीड कर लिया, साथ-साथ मैं रिफ्रेश करवाती रहती हूँ जीपीटी से कि मुझे थोड़ा-सा समझ आ जाए। तो लेकिन उसके बाद अब मुझे वो दोबारा से फिर भूल जाता है और मतलब मेरे लिए रिवीजन ये है कि मैंने वो जो उस आर्टिकल से भी लंबे नोट्स बनाए थे एक्सप्लेनेशन के, मैं वो दोबारा रीड करूँ और एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इंटर्नशिप प्रोजेक्ट और सारी चीज़ों के इतने लंबे नोट्स बन जाते हैं कि वो इम्पॉसिबल ही हो जाता है रिवाइज करना, तो इस सब चीज़ में मुझे बहुत मसला आ रहा था।
अच्छा, इसमें दो चीजें हैं. When you're generally doing engineering, reading, when you're a beginner, it sometimes it can happen that you were like writing those notes and they were long because there are a lot of things that you don't know. So that can happen. Generally, beginners के लिए it can happen, but not entirely true. ठीक है, पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज ये कि generally forgetting something is okay, but what's more important is that when you will revise it, it will make a lot more sense to you. And eventually there will come a time after 1 or 2 revisions that conceptually that thing you will remember. Right? Code you don't have to remember. Okay? So don't worry about it. Everyone has those problems. Forgetting things is normal. That's okay. Even if in the start your notes are getting bigger, बस उसको structure अच्छे तरीके से करें. Try to structure your notes properly. Sometimes we do is that we were reading some article and it was teaching you 5 different concepts. And what you do is that you put all of the concepts in one place. For example, if you are reading about authentication today from X article, possibly you can read about authentication from another article. Okay, so
ओके सर.
so structure better.
सर ऐसा ही होता है, मतलब जब मैं आर्टिकल रीड कर रही होती हूँ, हर जो नया वर्ड है वो मेरे लिए एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट होता है और फिर मुझे उसको रीड करना पड़ता है, इस वजह से शायद मुझे ज्यादा टाइम लग जाता है.
Normal है, it's normal because when you're starting out और आपके फंडामेंटल अच्छे नहीं है, ये यूनिवर्सिटी में आपने उस तरह से नहीं पढ़ा हुआ, तो it can happen and this is okay. You're doing a good job. I mean, you should be proud of yourself that you're not binge reading the articles. ठीक है?
ओके सर, थैंक यू सो मच.
Welcome. Okay, जी. Coming back, unless Momna, you're back.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, but you're audible.
Sir, I have joined the July batch, but I haven't received any task on the Pathman yet. And I wanted to ask that where I can get all the lectures and the other stuff.
Okay, are you part of your mentorship group, your clan
Yes.
on WhatsApp?
Yes, I have joined the group recently.
Okay, then you should drop a message there. Whoever your mentor is, they will guide you. They will assign you tasks, and there are weekly meetings that you guys have every week. So you guys can discuss more stuff there. ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
अच्छा, you completed MERN and focus on learning means to follow the path in fellowship to try to get job open source, etc. You should do both, AJ. Try again. Our focus also the tasks that we're trying to give you are also to prepare you for the market. But at the same time, if you get opportunity to play with open source or anything, go for it. Do not wait, right? Because you do have a weekend that on which you can do a lot of stuff. I'm struggling to choose a field. Then graphics, every shining or then graphics, everything seems equally exciting and it's becoming overwhelming to the point. And listen, or how do you decide which field to focus? What advice you give to someone? It's more like if I try to find out with real reasoning that what could be something that you're doing actually because it has value or it has actually your interest. So, for example, sometimes people are picking a field just because it's easy, or just because they heard from someone, oh, you can make a lot of money in digital marketing, or you can make a lot of money in, I don't know, Bitcoin mining or something, and they will go that route without even thinking, okay, what is the job market saying about it? So one, make an aware, like a data aware decision, and then try to find out what your actual interest is, and then go in that direction. Again, do not try to make your decision, make the basis of your interest on the reasoning that, okay, this is easy. That's why it's my interest. Most of people are doing that mistake. They don't have interest in anything, but just because something feels easy, They feel like, oh, this is my interest, right? And again, whenever there will be hard thing, you would not be generally like it's not generally the case that you would always enjoying it. It cannot happen that I'm enjoying a lot of bugs in my code, or when I'm not able to find a solution in my code, or when I'm having to sit down for 8 hours. Right. So there's a lot of things that you have to do because it can give you a lot of good results. And Shazib, अपना commute कर लें. Okay, let me mute up. Okay, all right, come back. So yeah, that's the whole point. Again, be truthful to yourself. Okay. And then जब आप इरादा कर लें किसी चीज का तो कुछ पे कदम तोड़ दें कि ठीक है this is something I'm gonna do for next 3 months. उसके बाद I'll really think. Okay. I'm not interested in coding anymore. Can't even understand the concepts after third year. Um, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that you would not be a very dumb kid. If you have done anything good in life, try to think about that. And then you will be able to understand कि भाई you have something that can make you understand how to code. But again, software engineering is all about spending a lot of hours. If you want to be, really get placed into some good companies, you go to spend a lot of hours. And when you spend a lot of hours, it's impossible that you don't understand something, right? It can happen that someone else is learning something faster than you. That is true, because sometimes people do have a good introduction to life. They have better genes, they have better neurons. But one thing, again, अगर इसको किसी ने practice करना है, so if anyone wants to practice it or anyone wants to actually experience it, I would generally always recommend कि भाई go to LinkedIn. And there are 4 games. There is one Patches, Zip, Queens, and Tango. These are 4 games, puzzle games. Start playing them and do not stop playing them for at least 3 weeks. And within the first day of the first week, you will definitely be spending more than, I don't know, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, I don't know, depending upon what's your current neuron levels are. But in 3 weeks, you will see really clear difference in your progress, right? So after the 21st day, you will understand that, okay, in the first day I was thinking I cannot solve it. I cannot do it. It's not like I cannot comprehend any of it, right? But on the 21st day, you would understand that I could do it. That's where you will see an actual experience or actual practically that our neurons do get trained. And they even in their physical shape, they're exactly like the roots of the plants, right? So if there's a plant, it's small, it won't be very strong, right? But if you keep giving it water, you will see that their roots get more dense. Same is the case with your neurons. If you're giving them the right training, they will train themselves on certain patterns and they will start it will start feeling very flawless to you when you will be playing those games. So same is the case with any other thing in the world. Um, so yeah, just go do that practice and you will understand that you can do it. What about DSOC? Yeah, we are sending some offers to the right guys on DSOC. Maybe within a week. It was delayed. My third year been starting. I'm also start to working on myself because 2 years has been just by searching field and exploring. Don't stop, खुदा का वास्ता, stop searching field. You will get a lot of signals from the market. Yeah, what are the things that are valuable? What are the things that have um, job openings? What are the things that are being asked for in the world? What are the companies being funded, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And then once you get those signals, and then you also know, okay, this is something that I also want to do. I know it's going to be hard and it's not always going to be enjoyable. Just go into it. Okay. And again, if you feel like a DSA is not something you cannot find time for it or something, कुछ देर के लिए you can stop it, get on track, get some stuff done with your engineering, and then come back to DSA, or maybe give it time over the weekend? How can you achieve excellence in a niche when tech is evolving so rapidly? Underlying concepts stay, underlying concepts stay same. Do not take too much pressure of the tech is evolving so rapidly. If it is evolving rapidly, it's evolving rapidly for everyone, not only for you. Okay. So continue to do things which require deep hours, deep, going deep into it. Continue to spend hours on general theoretical engineering and continue to spend hours on those new technologies that are rapidly evolving. If you are spending every week some time on those newly developed or newly introduced technologies, you will feel like, okay, this is nothing. Okay. When we feel like, oh, it's a lot of stuff is happening, but we're not we're not even aware that there is a lot of stuff happening, then that becomes a problem because we are unaware of what we don't know. So at least we should be aware of what we don't know. Okay, that will make your life much easier. I mean, to know is to know that you don't know. और so that's Einstein quote, but उसको थोड़ा सा अगर हम उसको optimize कर लें, so a good quote would be that to know is to know that what you don't know, and that makes life easier. When you watch, let's say, a React tutorial but we're unable to understand its coding logic, how you build that logic building skills. Do not try to think that on the first day you will be able to build a logic. Eventually, everything will start making sense. Initially, when we are doing anything, even problem solving, even DSA, we're trying to imitate other people, how they are thinking, how they are approaching a problem, how they are trying to understand a problem, how they are trying to map it to a pattern, right? And then that's how you go with it. And a lot of times, even DSA, mein to a lot of times, there are a lot of things that you don't even have to invent yourself. So there are a lot of algorithms that people spent years to build. And then we are expecting, oh, we should be building this from our mind. No, not true. So sometimes you have to memorize stuff as well. But obviously after understanding why. Okay. But do not put too much pressure on yourself कि मुझे सब कुछ आना चाहिए, सब कुछ समझ आना चाहिए. ठीक है. Currently learning more. A friend of mine focused on AI and recently got an internship. Made me wonder if I was invented in the wrong direction. It would have been the alternative. It could be a different case where you would have been spending time on AI ML and that friend would have been spending time on MERN, and then she got something and you did not. I mean, this is never a good um, metric of success, right? But continue to complete your MERN. Again, people get too stuck with the idea of, oh, MERN ka matlab hai ki I won't learn anything except MERN. No. Complete your stuff, complete your projects, and get into AI/ML, right? So yeah, what would you prioritize over the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months? I will prioritize on the next 1 month. Complete your targets for next 1 month, and then focus on other things. And internship is not something. Definitely, you should not be focusing on the internship only. Yeah, Zeeshan, I started ML and AI journey before joining fellowship. Now after joining, I've started DSA and listening to talks as well. But as for tech stack, I want to complete the course first, then move onward. What is this? Should I continue to restart again? And if I do continue with ML, can a person learn engineering irrespective of a particular programming language? Okay. One, you can. Two, AI ML, you can put some time to it, give some time to it, so that because the point with general engineering is that it helps you a lot, but it also depends how much time do you have, right? So everyone can take some track where they can cover all these things, all these areas, but then it depends how much time do you have before you want to go for the job market. Okay. So if you are in last 1 year and you just only want to do machine learning and AI, then you can swap other things if you want, right? But if you think, okay, within a month I can get some stuff done, build some projects, and then try to integrate machine learning in that, it will make much more sense and it will make much more enjoyable as well, right? Because think about it, people don't want to see, like, recruiters would not want to just run a machine learning model on their machines. They would actually want to see, okay, what's the interface for it? How was it scaled, for example? So general engineering covers all those things. And when you're generally software engineers, we should not be thinking only कि भाई एक ही area में study करना है. We should be thinking, okay, we need to understand engineering and then we'll specialize into something. ठीक है? So that's I always recommend कि अपना full stack, try to complete some full stack within 2-3 months, which is a very reasonable time for it, and then try to integrate something into it, and then also see the market. I'm not sure if there's a lot of ML roles right now, but there are a lot of AI engineering roles right now, and the reason for that is that now, uh, as of now, because LLMs have become so much better, there is not so much incentive to a lot of companies. I'm not talking about big companies, but the small companies, there's not a lot of incentive for them to be able to build their own models. Okay, sometimes we become lazy in vacation. Uni, we study 4 hours after class is same in vacation, just 1 or 2 extra, not like 10 hours. Reason, solution, thanks. You can find time with university, because many times we are wasting time in cafeteria in university. Go to say no to something, but it's not true कि you will only be finding 1 or 2 hours, not 10. 10 hours is not true. Obviously, with university, it won't happen. But you can easily find 4 hours or 3 hours on weekdays, but you can find a lot more hours on weekends. And in university, you will find days on which you might not have extra classes, but 4 hours are easily possible. And general rule of thumb is that you can spend time before um, going to university. You can spend time while you're traveling, for example. So the travel time is a very good time for the 40 minutes are very good for you to listen to some podcast, for example, right? Or if you're traveling by public transport, you can read an article while you're traveling. So it's about habit patching. Currently learning full stack, but due to certain personal reason, I won't be able to do a physical internship on site. Would it be possible for me to? Yes, it is possible. It's very possible, bache. Just do well. There are a lot of kids from devweekends who never went to any physical company, and they're still working at good companies, remote. Freshers are very concerned about future of software market. That's still relevant. For 5 years, see 6 years, or even 2 years, they will think A will do. A will do reasonable stuff. It will continue to do a lot more on the coding end of the things. But they have to be people, right? So I mean, there are tools. AI has tools, and it's gonna do a lot of stuff. But along with that, there going to be a lot more disciplines. One thing good about AI is that there's more and more software business happening. And if there is more software business happening and more software products being developed, that means, okay, AI can do a lot of basic stuff and like non-production work. But eventually, as more and more stuff is coming and more products are being developed in production, there is a lot more requirement of better engineers. And because now that there's a lot of data flowing, there are a lot more opportunities coming in, right? So there's a lot more engineering happening, right? अब AI को किसने चलाना भी तो है ना, right? तो फिर भी ना हुआ तो हम AI की बत्ती बंद कर देंगे, ठीक है? But generally, again, AI will continue. If AI is going to thrive, that means engineering is thriving. Right? If engineering is thriving, then there's a lot of stuff happening around it. And there's a lot of automation that can still happen in the world. So don't worry about it. How to find good quality tech talks and videos on YouTube if there are other resources. One, we have recommended some. Two, you can find out some good tech conferences. You can try to find out how someone is working in software engineering at Google, for example. If you go through some technology, try to find out how it was developed, things like that. Um, um, Try to find out who are some good people in the market, who are some good engineers. Try to go through their content. Some of the things that I recommend if you want to, for example, start out, you can start out with Hussain Nasser. Is a good guy. I will write it down. right? You can go with that. If someone is interested in system design, you can do Jordan Has No Life or Gaurav Sen. If you want to see conferences, you can do go to conferences, NDC conferences, stuff like that. So yeah, what AI engineer actually do, integrate AI with actual production stuff and put some guardrails and techniques and stuff. AI engineer is not building models. They are generally integrating LLMs with the real software. How we become better SWE like you? I'm not a very good SWE. If you're a fresh grad, what paths to follow to become better? Actually, how much time to spend on learn every day? Uh, okay, so there is no shortcut for becoming a good engineer. Spend as much time as you can. Again, it's about good की definition आपकी क्या है, that's what matters. Okay, what's your eventual goal? If your eventual goal is to be able to reach into top companies, then you technically have engineering as your main thing. You go to fall in love with it. Um, Instead of watching Netflix, you should be watching talks. And eventually it will happen, it will give you more pleasure. And eventually it will happen that if you watch a Netflix series, it will give you more regrets of why did I spend that time? I did not get anything out of it, right? So just spend as much time as you can, try to read as much as you can, try to build projects, try to be more outgoing, get into a competition, get into building projects, get into hackathons, definitely get into open source, try to crack some good programs while you're a student, right? Try to get into ICPC, try to get into GSOC. So they will give you quite amount of reasons to continue to become a good engineer. How a fresher can crack remote job without DSA in current market. Just become a very good engineer, build good projects, have very good stuff on your resume, on your LinkedIn, do open source, keep applying, keep giving interviews. Inshallah, Allah will find a way for you. ठीक है, what else? जी ओके आई थिंक दैट्स एनफ फॉर टुडे किसी को सवाल है आखिरी तो पूछ लें else we're good to go. How recruiters see the project, whether it's good or not. Just be different from the market, from the other individuals. But when you're starting out, you don't have to always think I need to build a very good project. When you're starting out, you need to build some basic projects as well, so that you build your understanding. But generally, in the current era of AI, if you want recruiters just to see basic projects, okay, let's say एक हफ्ते में बनाया जा सकता था, so that is something that is not going to be very interesting to the recruiters. There are certain things that recruiters can see. If you're talking specifically about the project, it should be end to end. It should be solving some good amount of problem. It's full stack, DevOps hai, cloud hai, AI integrated hai, stuff like that. If you're talking about yourself, if you have good credentials, if you did good in any open source program like GSOC, you did good any competition, that can be something. If you're writing about some good stuff, if you're writing about some good techniques, some use cases, some case studies, if you did open source, right, all of those things are very important. But yes, you have to build your basics from good projects. Once you have good projects, sorry, basic projects, then you have good projects. Once you have good projects, you have open source. And then once you have open source, then you get introduced to a lot more opportunities. Last, how much help we seek? You can take as much help as you can from AI. Just do not use AI in a way that you're asking it to solve everything and do everything without understanding anything, right? Slow down your pace. Do not try to get stuff done in an hour. If you try to be very fast, you will get stuff done. You would not understand anything, and most of the times inshallah, when you will go to production engineering, nothing will be making sense to you. How to change tag from full stack AI to data engineering? Send an email at info@devweekends.com. ठीक है जी? All right. I hope today's session helped everyone. For example, doing what we know just to get it faster using AI like CSS in general. CSS in general. CSS is not something that someone is going to interview you on, right? I mean, CSS, I mean, you should know basics to aane chahiye, but I don't know if people still interview people if they know CSS selectors or something. Okay. Again, AI, if you're starting out, try to write code on your own as well. Right? And the reason for that is what if you get in an interview where they ask you to get some stuff done, right? So at least you should know what AI is doing for you. I mean, AI is a helper to get stuff done fast. If I have done CRUD operation for XYZ once, I might just use AI again to do another CRUD somewhere else if I understand it, right? Or there's a bug, I would ask AI to help me solve it. But not that कि अच्छा पूरा feature आया और आपने कहा AI से बनवा लेते हैं, and then you're like, oh, I don't know anything about this feature, right? Things change a lot once you have basic fundamentals. So it can happen that once you're done with basic projects, you can use a lot more AI to get stuff done, right? But again, it depends. So it's more like if someone is learning math and we know that calculators exist and we are like, oh, just start using a calculators even before you know how to do maths from your hand. But once you have learned the basics of maths, then just use calculators to do bigger or to solve bigger equations, for example. It would not make any sense for you to not be using a calculator at that time, right? So that's the point. Okay, using AI and how much to use it, it really depends upon your current standing. And then how do you feel about it? I mean, if you're feeling so bad after using AI because you did not understand anything or you were not able to achieve anything at the end of the day on your own, then there's a clear indication that you're using AI in a bad way. But if you're using AI to understand a lot of things, कि यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है, वहाँ पे क्या हुआ है, यहाँ पे ये क्यों नहीं हुआ, यहाँ पे ये क्या हो रहा है, इसका क्या मतलब है, इस लाइन का मतलब बताओ मुझे. And then you're trying to kind of play with it and you're trying to go extra miles, like one step ahead of the tutorial. That's a very good use case of AI. Okay, so try to enjoy engineering, not just get away with something. I know what I have to do mean there is a clear path in my mind to handle the situation, but writing code myself is difficult as there are syntax issues. It's okay. I mean, start में if again it really also depends कि आपका अभी current standing कहाँ पे है. But generally, if when I have a kid right now, or he is in the first year of or second year of university, I will ask him to so just write some code on from the hands. At least you're able to, because sometimes you feel like कि मुझे सब कुछ पता है, but until you write that thing on your own, right? So that's a problem. And one more problem is that sometimes you exactly know what you want to write and you will ask AI, and then AI will pick up a lot more edge cases. And finding out those edge cases are important. And you're like, oh, ये भी करना था, but उसने कर दिया. But when you're writing on your end, yourself, then you'll find out कि oh, you've missed that clear path. आपके माइंड में clear path था, but उसमें issues थे, और वो AI ने solve कर दिए. So you'll find out that a lot more, because there are a lot more edge cases in general programming as well. ठीक है? Lenji guys, I have to go eat now. I hope today's session was helpful. Maybe we'll have another one. But until then, keep trying, keep pushing your limits, keep finding a true purpose in life, keep understanding what sort of responsibilities do we have towards this world, and inshallah, try to be a better human. try to be a better engineer, try to fall in love with engineering, and try to help a lot more people around you, inshallah. Fiman Allah. Take care. Allah Hafiz.